Hello! Vlogmas! Yay! This is probably like the 6th or 7th Vlogmas video you've already seen, but it's my second one I'm filming, so I'm very excited. And I've got my earrings in today, which I probably would have had in the last few days, but for me, again, it's the first day and I'm very happy. I've got my mug of tea, I've got a warm jumper on, we're getting cozy, yes! Oh, I love it. Also, just before we get into the main topic of this video, which we'll get into, I've suddenly remembered, I only learnt really recently that the 12 days of Christmas are not the 12 days before, they are the 12 days after. And they finish, I think, on like the 5th of January or something like that. Whoops. I like using it as a lead up, in case you couldn't tell. If I wanted to go over Christmas and New Year's, I would go Chanukah, Vlognika, whatever. Anyway, let's chat. So today's video, what I want to talk about is just the passage of time this year. You know, nothing existential. I actually wanted to make this a video anyway, and then I decided to do Vlogmas and I was like, that suits, that fits, that's good. This year has been a bit different from the last few years. It's been the first year for me that I've been settled in a long time. It's the first time in a long time that I've been back sort of with a Jewish community and more able to do the Jewish things that I grew up with. And I feel like I've had a bit more freedom. Well, in some aspects this year. The last few years, aside from the times I came back here sort of in between things, I have been living independently. And so obviously that grants a lot of freedoms in and of itself. But I mean, it's been COVID, but B, I've also been restricted to a place and limited in that sense. I mean, last year I was on the ship and I loved working on the ship. I loved the team. There was so much about it I loved. I've made a bunch of videos, you can go check them out. I think, in fact, that's how a lot of you guys found me, so I'm very grateful for that. But when you're working on a ship, you are confined to the ship. You do get to go into the port, and again, I'm very grateful that we did have that flexibility and that we could explore the different places we went to. But at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do when you live on a ship. And the year before that, I lived in the middle of nowhere in Greece. And again, absolutely awesome, really loved a lot of the stuff I did that year. Had a great time, but again, you're very limited, incredibly limited, especially there because I didn't have a car and I don't drive. Well, technically I do drive now, but anyway, there's a lot you can't do. And you're very restricted also by the hours you're working because both on the ship and in Greece, and to be honest, this is a general fact for a lot of people in the entertainment industry, you work all the time. I mean, on the ship, I would be getting up. I think my first activity was usually either at 8 or at 9, except the days we had turnaround day where it was like 4 in the morning and you wouldn't be going to bed until 11 o'clock midnight. And yeah, you had like half an hour here, an hour there, those kinds of bits and bobs to take off, but you're constantly on call and you're, again, confined to a ship. And in Greece, it was even worse because you got to the hotel, you stayed at the hotel the entire day because you couldn't leave the hotel because you didn't drive and didn't have a car, and then you got back to your house late at night and you went to bed. And I don't want to complain because I really did love all those jobs that I've done the last few years and I'm very grateful I got to do them. And I would absolutely consider going back and doing some of them, but just not for as long. But I'd very happily sort of nip in and out for a few weeks at a time. But this year, I have finally been able to sort of do things on my own terms. And again, I'm incredibly lucky to be staying here because it means that, for example, at the start of this year, I knew instead of going back into hospitality, which is something I've always worked in and always will get a job in, I wanted to take the time to be able to find a job more in admin or receptionist, like that kind of work, because I knew that that was something I really enjoyed and I knew that that was something that I could grow in. Whereas I don't really think I ever see myself becoming like a restaurant manager or something like that. And because I could stay here and I wasn't immediately desperate for a job, and to be fair, because I'd built up lots of savings whilst working on the ship and in Greece and Lapland, I had the flexibility to find a job, or in fact jobs, that I really, really like. And I had a stipulation when I was looking for my jobs as well that I didn't want to be full-time because I don't want to commit to something full-time because I'm a very loyal person and I would find it really hard if I was working absolutely full-time for a company and then I had to say, I'm sorry, I'm taking X amount of time off for an acting job. Whereas if I'm only working part-time, then first of all, when I take the time off, they aren't missing out as much on the person, if that makes sense. And second of all, we always knew going in that I wasn't as committed. And the truth is, I am very committed to my jobs. And I hate having to ask for time off when I have an audition or whatever, even on holiday. I'm entitled to holiday, but I hate asking for it. To be fair, I went away for a month. Like, that is... I should feel guilty asking for it. I feel like I've kind of gone quite a different direction with this video than I was planning to be honest. But I feel like I've just sort of explained the first few months of my year. And I feel like this year, I feel like it's the first year in a long time where it makes sense that we've come to the end of it. I mean, we still have 6 weeks left. Like, that's actually, I mean, it doesn't sound very long, but we only have like less than 9 periods of 6 weeks in a year. Is that right? It feels so wrong, but it's right. So like, actually, it's still a decent chunk of time. I mean, I say this as of when I'm filming this. Obviously, by the time you're watching this, you've got like 2 weeks if you're lucky. But I feel like this year has kind of done what I needed it to. And I know I said it last year, and I think I said it the year before, but I am ready for the next year. I really like the number 2025. I mean, who doesn't? Who wouldn't? It's a great number. I didn't really like 2024 as a number, which is weird because you think I would, because it's like 2 + 2 = 4. I prefer 2023. Anyway, I have a few things I would like to do in 2025, and obviously we'll talk about that in my resolutions, which you may have already seen. But I feel like this has really been the perfect year in terms of setting me up here. I've got my jobs, I've got a routine, which probably will change once I find, you know, a new place to live. But even then, like, the general idea of it is the same. I've made some connections. I've made huge connections and networking in the Jewish theatre community, which is so cool, and I'm so grateful that I was able to do that. And that's in part because of it's a huge part because of my studies, which I've just remembered I completed this year as well. Like, I feel like this year has really set me in a good stead for next year and the future. And who knows where the future will lead. Like, I have no sense of what my life is going to bring me. Obviously, I'm hoping to do more with theatre and film and acting, basically. But a lot of that is outside of my control. A lot. And whilst it is my absolute dream, and, you know, it would be the best thing ever, I know it's not totally realistic, potentially. And I know that there's a lot of sacrifices to be made working in that industry. I've seen it firsthand. I've experienced it firsthand. But I feel like what I've done this year, it has opened me up for potentially other career paths, if necessary. And in fact, for most actors, a second career path is necessary, because even if you're working full-time, the pay is so bad that most people do need a second job. And I'm just glad I found various sort of pockets that I really enjoy and that I've now built some experience in. And I feel really, really positive going into 2025. 2024 was probably the least quote-unquote exciting year I've had. If you look at my last few years in life, you would probably say this was the most boring. And I guess, you know, I didn't do as much in terms of performing and entertainment, and I didn't see as much in terms of traveling the world or, you know, exploring new places. But I had a great year, and I did still actually travel more than I think I was expecting to. I think I went to Ireland at the start of the year. I definitely went to Spain. I definitely went to Italy, and I definitely went to Australia. I don't think I've missed anything in there, which is weird that I didn't go to Holland this year. Maybe that's why I'm itching to go so much. That's definitely on my list for next year. I definitely want to go back to Holland. I've missed it. I must have gone to Holland. I don't think I did. I think I'm getting confused because I went 3 times last year and I spent a month there, almost a month last year. So yeah, those are my thoughts and feelings about this past year. And I'm sure that there's gonna be more brain things happening as I get closer to the end of the year. And maybe I'll talk about that in my vlogs or something. Or maybe I'll make a second Vlogmas video about it. But I feel really content. I feel really, really content. And there are 2 major things that I am hoping will happen in the next 3 to 4 months. Life things, not, you know, anything outside of my own personal life. And one of them is moving. And if those 2 things can happen, then I'm kind of, you know, the rest will fall into place. I just need those 2 things to happen, and we'll figure everything else out. I do have some exciting plans for 2025 though, but nothing is set in stone yet. But there's lots of things, in theory, that I'm looking forward to next year, if we can make it all happen, which is a big if. All right, I think I've spoken long enough. I've almost finished my tea. The battery is running low. I think I gotta go. Let me know how you're feeling heading into this new year and how you feel the last year went. If you don't think it went so well then hey, you've got something to look forward to next year. And if you think it was great, well, it can only get better, right? No. We can hope that it'll be as good next year. I'm so motivational, aren't I? If I've been looking outside a lot, it's because the sun is setting, and the sun sets on that side, but it makes the sky look really pretty and all the trees look really pretty on this side. And it's very clear. It was very cloudy this morning, but it's totally cleared up now. So you've just got a beautiful gradient of like darker blue to lighter blue, aqua, green, yellowy. Stunning. I love nature. All right, we've talked long enough. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.